Sika
Podcast
special.
96. Chris, do you know what kind of deer that is?
A dead deer.
It's a dead deer, but
Dead deer.
it's not a dead Sika deer. It's a dead whitetail.
Okay.
But uh, today's podcast, we told everybody I'd give an update on my Sika hunt, and
Sika special.
I don't have to murder Chris no more because I finally shot my first Sika stag. Woo!
Thank you, Lord.
Yep,
I
I'm
don't
sure
have to
Chris is.
hear.
Yeah,
I don't have to hear no more about
yep. Chris don't have to complain no more,
it.
or you don't have to hear me complain no
I hear
more.
you.
Yeah. So I'll talk about that real quick, and then we'll jump into something else. But because I did have some people message me asking the story about this thing,
You shot a
which
monster.
it was decent. Um, wasn't as big as the one you shot, but I mean, I'd say it was within maybe 4 or 5 inches.
Oh, get
We
out
go.
of here.
What?
No way.
Yeah, it was 5 inches smaller than the one you shot.
No way. That thing's minuscule to mine.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Nah, but in all seriousness, I went down Wednesday night. I checked into an Airbnb, and Thursday morning got up 3 a.m. Actually, it was like 2:40 because Zach was pacing back and forth.
Zach was pacing.
He was all excited, but
He's amped up.
yep. So we got out there, and remember how you have to get to the area, like the gate, and you got to wait for a
Yeah.
certain time to go through the gate. Well,
Hmm.
we got there right at 4 a.m. and we were like the seventh car in line,
Okay.
which I was a little upset about. Because when you get to the parking lot, it's like just rush, rush, rush.
Yeah.
So, soon as we get to the parking lot, we were fully dressed. We jumped out, got our backpacks. I had a bike rack. I lowered the bikes to the ground, got them on the ground. We go to take off. Zach's chain freaking pops
Mm.
on his electric bike. So
How
that
does
that
that
held.
happen?
I don't know. It held us up for.
Derailer or something, maybe?
I don't know. It
Hmm.
held us up for about 4 minutes.
Oh, it
He
ain't too
pop.
bad.
No, he pops it back on, and we take off. By the time we got back to the area, you know the area.
Mm.
There was already people there. There was already bikes there, but we ended up walking down that muddy path back through that clear cut,
Right.
and we didn't see nobody. We were good. I got
Huh.
set up. Zach went past me. Right at daylight, I saw a Sika spike came out from my left hand side, wrapped around in front of me, and then went off to the right.
Okay.
Um, we were around 10 a.m. I saw a hind right behind me, female, and then the rest of the day didn't see nothing. The
Mm.
entire day, we only heard that entire day about two bugles total. That's
Wow.
it. It was like dead.
Was it
But
windy or something?
that first day was brutal wind. I mean, it was brutal, swaying back and forth. I mean, I I had to fight everything in me not to climb down and just say screw this. Um, but I was in that stand from 5 a.m. till 6:50. I mean, it's tough. So we ended up meeting up. We walked out. Friday rolls around. Get up early. We were the first person in line.
Mm.
We got there about 3:50. We waited till the time to go through. We were like one of the first or second people to get back to the area, same area. We went back to the path. I climbed the same tree. Zach, I think, climbed a different tree that day. And then uh, first thing in the morning, bugles everywhere. It was the coolest thing. They were bugling, way more gunshots than the first day. I mean, it seemed like they were fired up. I saw nothing.
Hmm.
Lunchtime came around. I ate my lunch up in the tree, and I was fighting it because I'm like, the sun was blaring. I was taking clothes off. It was cold in the morning, but hot during the day. And at like 12 o'clock, I was like, man, this is dumb. I'm getting down. I'm not seeing nothing. Frustrated. All of a sudden, 2 o'clock, I hear this leaf, crinkle over to my right. I spin around to my right. There he is, 6 point Sika stag, like 10 yards right behind me. Um, so he was walking from my right to left. I grabbed my muzzleloader, I spun around, and within like 5 seconds, popped it up, shot him. Smoke went off. I heard him take off through the briars behind me, and I knew it was a good shot. And I only waited like 15 minutes, and I'm leading to a funny story, but I waited like 15 minutes, got right down, reloaded the gun. I was a muzzleloader, and went right where I shot it. Blood instantly. I started going real slow, just making sure, just watching, taking a couple steps at a time. 30 yards, it was right there.
Mm.
It was right there. I was so freaking excited. Um, and as I'm standing there, I'm looking at it. I hear something walking toward me. I didn't know what it was. So I just kind of stand there for a second. Here comes this kid out of the bushes.
Hmm.
It was like a 17, 18-year-old kid, something comes walking out of the bushes, and he's walking with his head down. And he looks up at me. He's like, "Hey." I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just looking for a tree to climb in." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, like I just shot this here, so like I'm gonna be a while. I gotta, quarter it up, get it ready." And he's like, "Oh, okay." So he walks away, right? So I get the deer. I text Zach, let him know I got it, and then I pull it back literally underneath the tree I was in,
Mm-hmm.
and I took a couple pictures and I started, skinning it out. I got the bags ready. I was going to quarter it up and pack the meat out. And I hear something again. So I pop up. Here comes this kid again, right? And he literally climbs the tree 15 yards from where I was. Remember the tree that we were in? Slightly off to the left, there's that straight pine tree.
Okay.
It's only like 15 yards.
Mm-hmm.
He's standing there and he starts climbing it, right? So I just walked over to him. I was like, "Hey, bud, like I'm right there. Like I'm gonna be an hour and a half, 2 hours by the time I pack it, pack the meat out, come back, get my stand, and then go out again. I'm gonna be a while." He's like, "Oh," he's like, "That's fine. I'm just gonna set up right here." I'm like, okay. So I start skinning. I'm skinning, skinning, skinning. Next thing you know, he was all the way in the tree. He comes back down. He climbs back down the tree, packs his gear up, walks away. I'm like, "What is up?" So I
What is
start
going on?
right. So I'm skinning again. I get the front leg off. I'm getting the back straps. I hear something again. I look up. Here he comes again. He goes to the base of the same tree and starts climbing it again. Right.
What the
I'm
flip?
like, I was like, this kid's lost or something. So I get the hind quarter out. I get, I'm cutting away. He climbs up, climbs back down, walks away. I'm
He must
like,
have he must have hung something up there and forgot it.
maybe, right? That
You know?
I didn't really at that point. I mean, I wasn't hunting anymore, but I was getting irritated. Like, why? Just go away.
Yeah.
Let me
Confused.
let me do what I'm doing here. So 10 minutes later, here he comes again. He walks over to me. He's like, "Hey, bud, he's like, where would be a good spot to set up?" I'm like, I don't know. Like I said, you got a guy over there. I said, you keep walking back and forth. There's a guy 150 yards over there set up in a tree. I can see him in orange. So then he's like, "Oh, okay." I said, "You got another guy over there." I said, "My buddy Zach's down this way, 200 yards." I was like, "I don't know where to tell you to go. Like, if you want to set up in that pine tree, go ahead, but I'm still going to be like an hour." So he walks over to the pine tree, starts setting up, takes his sticks out, starts setting up. He gets about halfway up, climbs back down, walks away,
High as a kite.
high as a kite. So this time he was gone, right? Completely gone. So I get all the meat in my bags, and I was like, all right, well, I'll just put the meat on my tree stand like I did last time. I'll leave all my gun. I took my gun with me. I'll have to stand and everything set up. I was like, I'm sure it'll be fine. So I walk away. I'll go out to that path. I make a left. I go out to where the bikes are. I
Yeah.
set my tree stand down with the meat, and I unchain the bikes and then wrap my stand around it. If somebody wanted to steal the meat, that nothing I could do. So I walk back down the muddy path over to my tree. The kid's in the tree. He's in the same pine tree. So when I left, he climbed back up in the pine tree.
He
So
thought
as
you
I
left.
yeah, so as I walk by, he waves to me. right? I'm like, hey. So I go over to my tree. I start packing my gear up. I climb up my tree. I get my stand out, start lowering sticks down, and I throw all my gear on my back. I start walking out. As I'm walking out, he's climbing back down,
Oh my.
and I finally get out and I get back to the bike, and I get everything on. I take a trip out to the car. I put the meat in the cooler. I ride back to the Airbnb. I shower. I clean up. I actually made myself dinner, and then I actually got dressed again. Had to go back to the parking lot. Got the bike off. Rode back to the clear cut. Waited for Zach to come out to unlock his bike for him, and then we went back to the room, and then kept the
Did
meat in the
he
cooler.
did he see the kid on the way out?
Yeah, yeah. He saw the kid on the way out.
Is he still in the pine or did he climb your tree?
He was back in the pine tree.
Okay. Wow,
Um,
that's freaking
it
weird.
it was the weirdest thing. I don't know if he thought setting up by me that he would have luck because I shot one, but it's another thing that we always talk
That's
about.
what we always say. It's dead now.
It's dead now. Like what? There's it's gone.
Right.
So I don't know. It was a fun trip.
Weird.
Zach, I don't know. He just wanted to go home, so he left. He actually left Friday night. He could have hunted Saturday,
Yeah.
but I was done. I could have hunted too. I could have shot a female, but I was just done myself.
Hmm,
So I ended up staying the night, and I went home Saturday morning.
hmm.
So that was my trip. I finally shot a Sika stag. That was my goal
Like a
over
special.
over 4 years that I wanted to shoot a 6 point Sika stag. If I saw a 4 point, I would have let the thing go.
Huh.
You know, I wanted a 6 point. I'm gonna get it mounted, and then if somebody else, if you want to go 1 year or something like that, I'll go again. But
Yeah.
as of right now, I don't really have plans to go back.
Right.
Unless you want to go.
I mean, we
That's
might if I get a
yeah,
bike, we might do it.
right.
We'll
If
see.
somebody else wants to go, I'll go. But I'm not going next year like by myself. If somebody
Yeah,
wants if somebody wants to go, I'll go with them.
I wouldn't do it myself. No. But
So, but I will go again in the future if
yeah,
if it
we'll probably try it again because I'll probably get a bike eventually when things
right.
settle down for me.
Yeah, right.
You know.
So,
But
it was fun. Now
so
that's in the books.
how's your whitetail hunting going this season?
So, I've been out the past few days, and that's my next topic I want to jump into. Um, I have cameras on 2 different public lands, about an hour apiece. The one public land, I have 4 cameras, dead. Not I haven't seen a single deer on the cameras.
Hmm.
It's dead. The other public land I had 4 cameras. Somebody stole 1, so I'm down to 3.
Oh, nice.
Um, they didn't get my camera in my good spot,
Mm.
that secret spot. Um, but here's my question that I want to present to everybody, and I just want to get everybody's I know what I think is right to do, but just want to see how people would react or what they would do. So I have this spot on public land. It's very remote. It's not really hard to get to. It's just a far distance away from the parking lot. You can't use electric bikes there. You can't use pedal bikes. You have to walk. Um, it's not that hard to get to, but it's just a remote spot. I found it last year, and right around this time last year, I started getting daylight bucks. And out of all my cameras on that area, that's like the only camera that I was getting daylight activity from. So right before Halloween, I started getting all these bucks on daylight. Decent bucks.
Hmm.
I had one like really good one. I didn't hunt it. I was busy. I was working. I hunted it like one time last year. One morning, I saw like a decent 8 pointer chasing a doe. Okay. The question is, I'm getting pictures of small 8 pointers, daylight, pretty much every morning around midday and then afternoon. And it's multiple different small 8 points.
Hmm.
The question is, do you risk going in there to hunt that spot, knowing currently you have small 8 points that you don't want to shoot, hoping that you get in there and it could be that any day, any chance that a big buck walks by? Or do you wait until you specifically get a buck during daylight that you want to shoot and then go hunt it? So what would you do?
Personally, I would I would probably hunt because your camera's only facing one direction and you might be
Hmm.
missing the whole picture. It could be
Yep.
skirting your camera,
Yeah.
you know, like because that's basically what I'm going to be doing tonight after we record this.
Hmm.
I'm going to a remote spot that I do have a daylight buck on camera every night, right at dark, coming in, and I mean he's he might not be like considered a shooter to everybody, but this is a buck that's on a mountain somewhere. It's a mountain deer, and I mean he's probably 120 inches maybe,
Hmm.
which isn't. I don't know. He might not even be that big. He might be 110 inches. I don't know. I can't really tell from the pictures, but he's constantly on there. And I get multiple other pictures of other deer on that camera as well. My idea is I want to go back there and see with my own eyes what's going on. And this will be the first time I've been back there the whole season. And I just want to check out and see what's happening. Um, a little live intel instead of just that camera.
Hmm.
So I am going to risk it a little bit. Not only that, but this week we had some early muzzleloader hunting going on, and I had a couple pictures of guys walking past my camera. So
Mm.
I thought the spot was going to be ruined, but the next night there he was again, daylighting on camera before dark.
So
So
they didn't. So
say
he ended up
say
didn't he didn't get spooked or nothing.
yeah, he didn't get spooked off. So I'm hoping that possibly I go in there and am pleasantly surprised by some other action.
Mm.
And not only that, but it's kind of like a hang and hunt deal for me tonight when I go out. Because like I said, I haven't been back there yet this season. My camera's been back there since like July or something like that, and so I got to get a stand hung because vacation's coming. Well, I'm not taking a vacation, but I'm taking off early from work every day next week. Not next week, the week after. Um, in a couple of days next week as well. But yeah, I'm personally, if I was you, I would go in there like at least once, check it out with your own eyeballs.
Hmm.
Um, that's just me though.
Yeah.
If you know better the area, which I'm sure you do, um, you may know what you're getting into. And if you have the camera in the best possible area facing the best area, maybe you might want to stay out till you get a picture of a good one. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
So
my
yeah.
spot, I'm gonna go put eyeballs on it tonight.
Right. So I agree with you. Yep. Could be skirting the camera. Um. But me personally, I'm going to wait.
Mhm.
And the only reason is because I can only hunt it with it's got to be a very specific wind direction,
Oh.
because where this remote spot is, it's like a very skinny point,
Mhm.
and the camera's like on the edge. So I got to have a certain wind where it's blowing out into the water.
Okay.
Um, and they can only go in front of the camera. They can't really skirt it.
Oh.
So these deer that's coming back and forth in front of this camera, they're probably 100-inch 8 pointers,
Mhm.
and it's pretty consistent. I got one this morning, then a doe, and then yesterday was like four different bucks, like four different 8 pointers, and I know there's big ones there. So I'm either going to wait till like that first week of November,
Mhm.
and like maybe like the first, second, third. If I don't specifically see something, then I'll probably just risk it and go in there.
Yeah.
Um, but obviously, if I see something, between now and then, I'm going in.
Yeah, I'm not going to get real aggressive to the 1st of November, that area,
Mhm.
because looking at my weather forecast, I don't know about where you're at, but we're talking almost 75 degrees
Yeah.
on the night before Halloween and Halloween
Yeah.
night. And
Same here.
so I'm going to be going real shallow into the woods. I'm not
Yep.
going to go
Same here.
deep. I'm just going to go somewhere I can get to quick and just get in a stand, not sweat, and just hope to maybe catch something cruising, you know, rather than not go out at all. I mean, this past week, I didn't go out at all, which is totally insane for a guy like me. I never miss a night, but I've had some instances with health that I've been going to doctors and things, and it's just messed up because I had to go to work and then get to the hospitals and get some scans and some checks and things all this
Mhm.
week, drawing blood and things. And I just had a screwy week. And I just said, screw it, because the weather was in the 70s all week anyhow. So
Yeah.
I just didn't go at all. Last time I've been out hunting was last Saturday, and we're recording this now on Saturday the 26th. So I haven't been in the woods for a whole week, and I took my boy out this morning, and we saw some deer. He had a buck come in; it was too far. Uh, so yeah, rather than not go out at all, I will go do some shallow stuff.
Mhm.
'Cause, I mean, Halloween time's time it's time, you know?
So speaking of that, the time frame that we're in our area,
Yeah.
what kind of activity are you seeing? Are you seeing bucks that's kind of, they're starting to get interested in certain things, they're moving more?
I think I think it's hit and miss.
Mhm.
Right now, um, like, for instance, I guess I lied because last night I was out.
You lied.
I did lie, yeah. I did go out last night, as a matter of fact. Right before dark, I went out, and
Everybody in the comments tell Chris he's a liar.
yeah, so I did have a buck, and he had no interest. There was a doe standing in front of him, he was just eating.
Mhm.
He didn't care.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, they're
he wasn't a small buck. I mean, he was, you know, he was probably 90 inches or so,
yeah.
90,
Well,
100 if he's lucky. But
we're
he wasn't wound up or anything,
yeah.
I seen the other night I walked up the driveway right after dark, and there was a 6 point with his nose in a doe's rear end going across the yard. I mean, so the little guys are getting frisky, but the
Yeah,
big guys,
we're
they're
probably
not
still
ready yet.
a week or so away before
Yeah, they're
anything
not
any
ready yet. I
anything
stopped
goes
at the
into
butcher
heat.
shop down the road, and there's 3 or 4 bucks laying there, you know, nice little bucks, and tarsals are just clean still, you know, no swollen neck, nothing like that yet. I mean, it's not on yet, but in
Yeah.
another week they'll start
Yeah.
swelling up.
And the next week it'll be on.
Oh yeah, next week after that it'll be chase time.
Yep. Halloween is
Yep,
always
they'll
the
be
kickoff point,
cruising. Mhm. Yep.
which I'll
Last
be out.
year on Halloween night was the best night I ever had in the woods. I seen 11 bucks.
Mhm.
11.
So Halloween is always, well, not always, but there's a high percentage for me there as I hunt on Halloween night. It's always usually pretty good. And I remember one year about 10 years ago, I shot a buck Halloween night, and it was like you said, it was like I saw like 8 or 10 different bucks. I ended up shooting one, and then I ended up shooting a doe the same night, and it was just like, I mean, it was just deer everywhere.
Mhm.
But
I
Halloween
s
usually is the kickoff point.
Yeah, last year I lost count, at 30 some deer,
Hmm.
and like I said, 11 of them. I think it was 11. 11 of them were buck, it was.
Was that public?
Yeah, it's actually the same piece of ground I'm going to tonight, but it was shallow,
Hmm.
and I'm going deep. Uh, I don't know what
Yeah.
made me do that last year. I think because it was warm, and
Hmm.
I didn't wanna go real deep, and I just stopped off to this one area that was a white acorn flat, and I thought, "I'm gonna hang right here," and I just did a hang and hunt that night, and I was like, "Holy smokes!" deer running every direction. Um,
So what I've
and
been doing,
traditionally, a Halloween night isn't a good night for me.
hmm
I've only ever shot one deer on Halloween, and it was a small one down here below the house. And it also was spitting snow back then.
mm.
It was a cold, cold day.
So
Um,
I remember last year, it was like maybe like the second, third of November. I was at the farm, and it was cold. I mean, it was whipping snow
mm,
last year. Um, 30, 20, 30 mile an hour winds was last year, and now this year is going to be 75 degrees.
yeah,
It's usually the same thing every year. First, second,
yeah.
that last week of October, first week of November, it's always warm. Mornings seem to be best at that time.
What
Um,
on average? What seems to be your best days to kill? Mine seems like I kill between November 3rd and 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that 7 day range.
I would say, yeah. I mean,
Is that same week?
anywhere from Halloween until about like the 8th, ninth, 10th of November, somewhere in
Yeah,
between there.
I've killed as late as the 10th, but as early as like the 3rd.
hmm
And like
Recently, though, I have shifted. A lot of my a lot of my deer or buck, I should say, have been killed early season.
mm,
Like this big guy here, this one scored 162 inches. This was the Kentucky buck.
no,
I shot that basically like the third day of archery season in September. I
yeah,
killed my velvet buck 2 years ago. Which speaking of that, I still got to pick that thing up. Um, from the taxidermist. That was 2 years ago. But I shot that opening day of Maryland archery season. I did not shoot a buck last year, and then I just didn't really see anything I wanted to shoot. And then this year so far, I shot my Sika stag. Um, so I'm hoping it's either going to be the rut time this next 2 weeks where I kill a buck, or it's going to be rifle season in
yeah,
in Pennsylvania. Which 2 years ago I also shot the 10 pointer at the farm.
yeah. You
Or
showed a good one
that
in rifle season.
that was opening day a rifle.
Yeah,
So right now I haven't had really any luck I can say that's been during the rut. But
right.
traditionally, years past, it's always that Halloween till about the 8th or 10th of November.
See, when I was a younger fella and didn't care about antler size, because we didn't have antler restrictions back in the day,
Right.
and the first 6 pointer bigger that came along, I would just shoot it, and be done with my buck tag. And for years and years, I shot scrub bucks with the bow, and it'd be the first or second week, which is first and second week of October
hmm
here in PA, and I would be tagged that second week of October or something. I'd have all my does shot because every year it's no secret. I always shoot a buck, or I always shoot my doe. Usually the first week of archery and get it over with and done with. Just
Right.
put it in the freezer. That's done. Now I can buck hunt. And then
hmm
usually the first buck that came along, I shot, and then I was all tagged up. Um, and then when they started the antler restrictions in PA, and I thought, my gosh, I never see big bucks, and this will be the end of me. I'll never shoot a big buck, you know, because you got to have such a big a buck to shoot at. Well, was I wrong? You know, the Pennsylvania Game Commission finally knew for once what they were doing, and that it was something that they instituted that other states do that is actually good for our state. And now people are shooting nice bucks. I mean, like the one above my head there. Years ago, I never seen anything like that. You
hmm
know, and now people shoot them like that every season. I
Well, I
mean,
always
there's good
say
ones out there.
you can't shoot what's not there.
Yeah.
So when some guys get discouraged, like, oh, this guy's shooting these big bucks or something, well, he's got big bucks in the area. I mean, your
Well,
area maybe just doesn't have them. Like, you can't shoot what's not there.
yeah, and that's that saying. How do you shoot a Boone and Crockett buck? It's got to be there first.
hmm
You got to have one, and
Yeah.
and you we don't have them around every tree here. It's hard to find a good one, and but I'm passing the last 10. 12 years I've been passing so many bucks up just to try to get a crack at a better one, you
Hmm.
know? I mean, I could have been done opening night of archery. I could have shot that 110-inch 8 point, but I let it walk,
Yeah.
you
Well, it's
know?
not
I
necessarily your trophy hunting. You're just looking for something
No, I just want
a
s
little bit
yeah, I was
better.
explaining that to my son this morning. I said, When you shoot something this big, next year you wanna try to shoot something this big. You shoot one
Hmm.
that big, then you wanna shoot one this big, I mean, eventually, you're gonna run out of big ones to shoot, but, I mean, you hope to improve upon what you've done.
Hmm.
And like I said, yeah, not necessarily trophy hunting, but, you know no, I will say when it comes to the second week of rifle season, it's on.
Right.
If I mean, I'm not just if I don't need a deer, I'm just not gonna shoot a 6 point because it's legal,
Yeah.
but if it's a decent basket rack of some sort, 8 or 10 or something, yeah, I'll shoot it, you know? So I
Yeah.
did
Well.
last year, I shot that nice wide buck with the rifle because I waited so long in archery, I just kept passing them up good ones until I ran out of good ones and I didn't see any more.
Hmm.
And I made it into rifle season. That's first I haven't sighted my rifle in I don't know how many years, and I had to go sight my rifle. Take a couple shots of the rifle, make sure it was hitting okay, so I could go rifle hunting.
Right.
It
Well.
was weird to be out there with a rifle. I never rifle hunt.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to the 2 day, or because you can hunt that Sunday now during rifle season.
Yeah,
So I look forward to those 2 days of rifle in PA at the new farm because I take TJ,
yeah.
and whatever it is with that place comes to life. I mean, absolutely comes to life opening day of rifle season. I mean, it is nonstop deer movement all day long.
That's
I
pretty cool.
mean, nonstop. I've never hunted a place where I've seen so many deer on opening day of rifle season. I
Huh.
mean, it's just it's nonstop. You could have it might be like a doe, but you see a doe walk by, all
Yeah,
of a sudden 15 minutes later, here comes a doe coming up this way. 15
yeah.
minutes later, here comes a 6 pointer coming this way. 10 minutes later, here comes a 4 point coming in. I mean, it's crazy.
Huh.
Um, so I'm hoping this year's the same way because that's been 2 years in a row now. I'm hoping this year's the same way, and me and TJ, well, if I don't have a buck by then, but hopefully TJ's able to kill a decent buck.
Now he
But
shot one last year or the year before?
so he went he didn't go the first year. Last year was his first year there, and he shot a buck with one antler.
Okay,
It was a 4 point side.
okay.
That was his first buck ever. So I told him this year, I said, "Hey, make sure you shoot a buck that
Two
has
sides.
two sides this time." Um, but yeah, that was his first one, and he actually got a European mount out of it.
Okay.
Um, he took it over there to the place up the street. But yeah,
Yeah,
that was his first buck. He had shot three does, I think, previous to that at the old farm.
yeah,
So this year he's looking to shoot
yeah.
a buck with two
He's due,
two
man.
two sides. You know.
He's due
Yeah,
for
they're there.
sure.
So, like I said,
Yep.
if it comes to life again, like it has in the past 2 years,
Hmm.
he'll have a good chance.
Sounds good.
So,
Huh.
well, that's
All right.
podcast six, 96,
90 Sika.
90 Sika, yeah.
It's 90 Sika.
Um, yep. So no more complaining that I didn't shoot a Sika stag. Chris, I can't say Chris stole my thunder anymore.
Yes, you can, because mine's massive.
Whatever. Yeah, you're in this book, but
Well,
guess what?
if
I'll
yours
be
is
in it.
close, if
I'll
yours
be
is
in the book
close, you'll
too.
be in it too.
Yeah. Nah, I don't care about that, but I'll get it scored by that
I gotta
same guy.
buy me one of them books next year, I guess.
Well, you might as
See,
well wait for the next one to come out.
that's what I mean. I'll just wait till next year.
Yeah.
I'll buy one.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll
So,
have both our names in it.
well, I'm already in it.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm already in this book,
Because you paid somebody to steal your deer when you was 14.
right? So I could be famous.
Yep.
I was famous for like 3 months. Um, I just want to I want to see if I can find my story real quick in this book. just so I have a little bit of
Get your
bragging.
5 minutes of fame.
Yeah, get my 5 minutes of fame again. Here it is. It's funny. How cool is it in the Maryland State Record Book? How often do you get your own page? That is me at
That's Dave. Dave with
four,
hair.
Dave with hair at 14 years old, and I get
14.
my own page. And look what it says: lost and found buck, 176 and 4/8 gross, 170 net. The number 14 comes into play with the outstanding buck and its story. Dave Richmond, Baltimore County, 1998. Bam!
Got his own page. He's
Got my own
famous.
page.
He's
But that
famous.
that's pretty cool. I mean, you're in there now on this. No, you'll be in the next book.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Whatever.
you'll be in the next one. But yeah, I mean, just something to hold on to. I actually bought two copies because my mom she wanted a copy.
Hmm.
Hold on to it. So it's cool.
Yeah.
Does PA have a book like that?
They have a. I don't know if they have a actual book, but they have a record. They keep records like that
Okay.
because when they came and measured my bear skull and it made Pope and Young, she said this makes Pennsylvania record too, is what she
Mm,
told me. But I only
gotcha.
needed 17 inches to make Pennsylvania record.
Hmm.
Pope and Young needed 18, and it scored 19 and an eighth, so I crushed it.
Hmm,
So yeah,
that's cool.
and that's the bear above my head.
Right.
That's the one that made Pope, Pope and Young with the bow.
From here, looking at that picture, it looks like a hog.
Hog, yeah.
Yeah, I see like the uh
Well, you know what I did see on that Maryland page this week on Facebook is some dude shot some 500 and some pounder down there.
yeah. So bear season opened a couple weeks ago, and it's a lottery drawing in Maryland. They only give out like
Well, you don't
maybe
even
like
have that many, do you? Bears?
yeah, yeah, in a couple counties. It's only open in like 3 counties out
Okay.
western Maryland. But yeah, they only give out like 300 and some tags per year. But there's big bears down in western Maryland.
Huh. So
Hmm.
what would Western Maryland be butted up against? West Virginia or what's over
West
there?
West Virginia.
Yeah. Well, I guess yeah, they would cross over for sure.
Yeah,
West Virginia's got a pile of them.
you got like Frederick County, Allegheny County, Garrett County. That's all loaded with bears.
Okay.
Yep,
Gotcha.
yep.
Yeah, some dude he whacked a big one.
Yeah, they're there.
Alrighty.
All right.
Episode 90 Sika.
We'll
I
see you
love
on
it.
nine. We'll see you on
Thank
97.
you, Lord. Dave shot one. I don't have to hear it no more.
Here we go. Here we go.
Woo!
All right.
Until I shoot another one.
I know. Break the record. Out of here.
See you, folk.